To begin.
Are you watching closely?
To begin.
Clytus, I'm bored.
How to start.
What plaything can you offer me today?
Spoilers. So many spoilers. More spoilers in this section than in the previous two. This is part 3 of me breaking down the characters from death in order to figure out how I can reduce the total cast. I've already reduced it by 2 and 85, 2 and 99. I think I can remove 1 from 2013. Yeah. I was thinking 99 had the fewest characters, but 99 had 6 characters, 85 had 7. And, wait, is it not 19 characters? Have I been miscounting this whole time? Because there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh no, there's 6 here. So, same as 99, 6 characters. I tried to make them relatively even. For some reason, 99 just felt smaller. I think because they have less going on. 85 is kind of almost our main story, or should feel like it, until we realize what's going on, and then 2013 takes over. So, spoilers. Big ones. Catherine, Kitty, Blood. Asthmatic, does that come up? I don't think I brought that up. I just deliberately want to do the asthma thing because I don't want people to do the trip and fall while running thing. Although Susie totally could when she runs away. Runs back to the house. Interesting. Asthmatic, wannabe filmmaker. She's not a wannabe filmmaker. She's a filmmaker. She just doesn't have a proper release thing yet. They've made short films. They're working on their first feature. Along with Polly and AJ, under the name Bloodmore. Specifically, arranged for the group to have access to this house. That's not entirely true. I think the implication in the dialogue is that Polly arranged it more than Kitty did. Although, as we learn as the story goes, Kitty definitely knows more than she lets on, and she's going to be the driving force going into Death Part 2. She is the character that I talked about a few weeks ago, or over a month ago now maybe, when I was trying to describe the final scene of the movie without spoilers. It is Kitty who drives away, while Marty, who is not in his wheelchair at the time because it has been knocked down the stairs, has to crawl back into the house to live. And we don't get to see if he makes it because we're with Kitty. Kitty's getting away. She can't help him. She's already done the best she can to stop Benny, because turns out because she's the one who can interact with the different time periods, she's able to also touch Benny. And when she touches him, it hurts. But it also hurts him. So she kind of knocks Benny down for a moment and Marty has a chance to crawl inside. Since we're doing spoilers. Specifically arranged for the group to have access to this house because of the murders that happen there yet. They want to make their selling point for their first feature film being we filmed it in a real murder house. Making this whole thing her fault. Not exactly true, but in the end becomes very true. Polly really knows the details, including the 7-year thing, but Kitty blames herself because she's the director. It's almost the opposite. Polly would be the one who would blame herself if she had the chance, but Kitty is kind of like, well, I didn't know it was really going to happen.
Well, I didn't know it was going to happen. I just thought there were going to be dances and songs.
Can't blame me. Which is why I love that she lives, because the last scene is so perfect in that she can't help Marty, but also in the moment you kind of get the impression, even if she could, she wouldn't, because she wants to live. That's an interesting character to have survive and then come back. She also claims to have psychic visions sometimes. That she doesn't claim that in the dialogue, though we do slowly figure out from a few references in dialogue that she does see things that aren't there. And then at one point she draws attention to it and says it outright, right before everything gets really complicated, and then we know what's going on. And that she can see and hear these other people in 99 and 85 for whatever reason. While she also knows that some of them are going to die. It takes her a moment to realize who she's seeing, because it's hard to pay attention to that many people. Kind of like the script has a hard time paying attention to that many people. Really, she sees dead people, and will find herself able to communicate with Katie and Mary, specifically. Kitty has a fox tattoo. I don't think that comes up. That's a real person reference, I believe. We do see a fox. Huh. Why did we see a fox? Is it just because Ed died while out hunting? I don't remember. Because it's not related to the fox tattoo. Interesting. Kitty has a fox tattoo, which Polly, or maybe James, will poke fun, asking what does the fox say, as that song is brand new. She would get a call from Katie on the drive up, and the signal would be lost mid-call. Actually, what it turns out is she doesn't answer it because she says the signal's going to get lost anyway. But we're drawing attention to the fact that she got a call from someone that she did not take while in the vehicle with other people, and AJ asks who it was, and she's like, don't worry about it. The implication being Kitty is in contact with the survivors of the previous things, which means she knows more than she lets on. She keeps suggesting Polly is the one who did it, because Bloodmore is set up. Kitty's the director, AJ's the writer, and Polly's the producer. So Polly is the one who's responsible, officially. Kitty's ringtone is Don't Fear the Reaper, reference to, of course, Halloween, and I don't know, one or two other slashers also use that song. Plus, this means Kitty was working with Katie, but the changes later because of Marty mean there is no Katie anymore. Yeah, that gets into the complicatedness of the ending leading into the next one means what changed in time. Is it like Back to the Future where she can remember the different things? Or does it rewrite? And if it rewrites, then is it the survivor from 85 that knows? Well, Marty. Who knows? Named for Kate, Kitty, Blood. This one is a slight variation on the theme of all these characters being named after real murder victims whose murders went unsolved. Because Kate Blood was the alleged murderer of her family, not a victim. She died in Lawrence, Kansas, but was buried in Riverdale, Wisconsin in 1874. She was supposedly a witch and was said to have killed her husband and children with an axe. Which is why Kitty ends up being sort of responsible for all of this happening. Because if she'd known what she was seeing, or at least could admit what she knew she was seeing, she might have been able to stop more people from dying. Maybe. Tell everyone to get out of the house. Don't get back in your cars and go home. But she doesn't. Andrew, nee Abby, AJ, Borden. Trans boy and the resident movie nerd, he wears a Dr. Wrench t-shirt referencing the villain in the Loose Limbs films in Evil Ed. For Bloodmore, AJ runs the camera, not the writer. He brings a VCR and he's more about how things look. Because Kitty, I think we reference this in this paragraph. Yeah, we do. I was going to explain something, but it's about to be explained. He brings a VCR and VHS tapes in his suitcase, notably not bringing any found footage movies, even though Kitty has told him that she was thinking of shooting their upcoming film project as found footage horror. But he doesn't care for found footage. For our own Stabathon, in reference to Scream 4, which is found footage, partially. The movie's not all found footage, but does use that. He tells Richie and Elma and Vic, who are going to be the main characters in their upcoming project, for our own Stabathon, he tells them. Yeah, and we get a list of movies. I won't give you the list of movies now because they're just fun references to, well, movies within movies. Like the aforementioned Loose Limbs films in Evil Ed. He's wearing a shirt in reference to Loose Limbs, which is a film that doesn't really exist. And so the movies he brought with him are movies that don't actually exist. Like the film they're filming in, what is that movie called? I'll give you a 1. Where is it? Well, I think I do say he has Loose Limbs 8, but I might take that out because of the t-shirt. Death House Dolls, which is the film they are making in 1988's Destroyer. As Charlie and Elsie are talking about fantasy, AJ somewhat randomly will mention The Desolation of Smaug coming out in December. This may be Kitty's first notice of events connecting beyond just shallow visions. See, there wasn't enough room for the nuance of that, and that would be a much more interesting moment where Kitty's only getting bits and pieces up until a certain point. And I think the implication in the script is she's only getting bits and pieces until some people are dying, so there's fewer people to see so she can see them better. But I don't think that's ever spelled out. That's just kind of what was in my head. Abby also sings and has already recorded several tracks that are on Spotify. Does this come up? Why did I have that? I don't remember. Also jumping in from editing because why did my paragraph about Andrew call him Abby for multiple sentences? Why am I dead naming my own character? I don't know. I should have just called her. See, this is actually part of the thing between AJ and Polly is that they were best friends, might have even been a little bit more than that previously. And so Polly's had a hard time adjusting to the fact that her best friend Abby is now Andy. So I guess it's okay. It's not great that I just did that, or that my notes did that. But also I think I went back and forth on which one they would be. I think I wrote the paragraph and then switched it. So I had it as Abby became Andy, and then it was Andy became Abby, and then back again. In the final version, it is that used to be Abby, now is Andy, but goes by AJ because that's easier for everybody. Or maybe they always went by AJ, and so it shouldn't be that hard. They don't have enough time for a whole conversation about it except for a very brief one, which was sort of the point. I didn't want the Shallows problem. I wanted it to be the illusion of a Shallows problem. For those who somehow are hearing this episode as my first one, the Shallows problem, in short, is the idea that main character is going through some horrible life decision and then they go through a traumatic experience, like in the movie The Shallows, and suddenly that fixes their life decision when that's silly. And you don't have to be trying to figure out if you're going to continue with college to have to worry about surviving a shark attack. It's worth surviving the shark attack just because you don't want to die. Each of my characters have kind of something going on. That's the whole point of these breakdowns that I put together before I even started the script, is I wanted to know what are they going through. Like for the previous example of Kitty being asthmatic. Does it matter that she's asthmatic? No. It doesn't actually affect the story. But if we see that she has an inhaler, it's an interesting little thing about her that we can know. Gives us some idea of maybe of who her character is, even if we don't know anything else yet. Maybe it would come into play in the second one, or the third one. I doubt it, but maybe. Anyway, back to me talking about AJ. Abby will die last, before Mary or Katie. This will change, of course. She will die last-ish. She was supposed to be technically second to last, because Abby Singer is the second to last shot of the day on a movie set. Which, that's why she sings. Oh, Abby's a singer. I don't think I referenced the singing, so that doesn't even matter anymore. Named for both Abigail and Andrew Borden. Essentially, Abigail was the birth name, and they've changed her name to Andrew, but they go by AJ, so they don't have to deal with the confusion of people calling them Andy or Abby, which does come up in conversation. Named for both Abigail and Andrew Borden, killed in Fall River, Massachusetts in 1892. Killed with an axe. Maybe, but it will be because AJ tries to defend herself with an axe, not because Benny had one handy. Yeah, I specifically was trying to get Benny to avoid using an axe, even though there is an axe twice. A setup of an axe for future reference, kind of like where you'd have that shot of like, oh, there's an axe. Ooh, I'm sure that's going to come up later, but I didn't want Benny to use the axe. His go-to weapon is a whipsaw. And then he uses log dog chains and tree felling wedges because he's a lumberjack. Lumberjacks wouldn't necessarily, when was he a lumberjack in the 50s? The 60s. Wouldn't really probably use an axe as much as other bigger things. Might even be using chainsaws, but I also did not want a chainsaw. We see a chainsaw in the shed, I believe. But no one uses it. Because those have been done. Polly Moore. AJ's best friend when AJ was Abby, but still trying to accept the transition. It's not that she's trying to accept the transition, it's just she still occasionally calls him Abby. And that's part of me just wanting stuff to be going on with characters that doesn't necessarily tie into stuff. It's the Shallows problem, but playing on the Shallows problem is that none of this stuff feels important, it's just what's happening. Same reason people have nicknames for each other. That they call Ringo Ringo, and that's not his name. They call Frenchie Frenchie. Marty's nickname of R2. In Bloodmore, Polly is the producer, including finding this house where actual murders have happened, which she knows about because of her father's girlfriend Susie died there in 85. Which Susie might not die in 85. That was the twist of the film, is the playing on time might change what actually happened.
What's happened's happened.
From the beginning to the end. A la, what's that fake documentary called? The History of Time Travel? It's a great movie. Where when they go back in time to try to fix something, the documentary just continues, but now the facts have changed. It's a fantastic way of playing on that. They want to make their first feature film, ostensibly a found footage horror film, but AJ doesn't want to shoot it that way. This weekend is supposed to be a team building planning thing, which might be hard to link for the audience with the Girls' Weekend in 85. Yeah, that was a problem. I think we never come right out and say the Girls' Weekend thing because we do need to say this stuff. The filmmaking stuff and these characters are driving the plot and the get-together. So we have to have the implication that maybe the 85 people are more actors and the 99 people are the band that are going to do music or something. That's hard to imply when the characters don't interact with each other. Polly isn't sure they are ready for a feature film, but she has an in with a producer of the VHS films and thinks they should try to make something short that they could get into an anthology like that. This is a disagreement between her and AJ that is a bigger problem than her calling him Abby, because they've been best friends for a while, they've been working on making films for a little while, and now they're having a dispute that feels personal but is about their company. Named for Polly Ann Moore, killed along with her boyfriend Richard L. Griffin in Texarkana in 1946. So her death should connect to Richie's. It does. They were shot. But we've got enough gun deaths in 99, plus this could be a nice double murder while having sex, a la Friday the 13th Part 2, a la Bay of Blood. And can we link this to Numbers 25? But with a cant hook. Yeah. Another lumberjack weapon and cant hook. So yeah, we do get a specific dialogue reference to Numbers 25. I think because AJ wants to film a murder that way in their movie. But then we get, it's Polly and Richie that die that way. So Richie has to stay. For sure. Richie Griffin, gamer, upset that he's missing out on GTA 5 playtime this weekend, especially when he sees that AJ brought a VCR and he totally could have brought his 360, which is a dialogue thing. And I don't think this comes up in dialogue, but I had a reference to a song. He will toast, so let's raise if the time frame changes, there's more room for toast. He will toast, so let's raise the bar and our cups to the stars, which Vic will say, I know what you want tonight. Reference to Daft Punk's Get Lucky. He is named for Richard L. Griffin, killed along with his girlfriend Polly Ann Moore in Texarkana in 1946. So his death should connect to Polly's. Yeah, that's the same note we had before. Elma Sands, European, sex-positive, body-positive, openly feminist. She's into tarot and astrology and far too many other things. Currently hooking up with Richie, but she's getting bored with him. She's into AJ, and she might be the one who will call Benny an incel, which pisses off Richie. I don't remember if she's the one who ends up saying his incel energy. I think that Vic says that. And it doesn't piss off Richie, it's just funny. I had to double check when people start calling people incels for this. Named for Gulielma Sands, disappeared in December 1899, found January 1900 in Manhattan. The prosecution of Levi Weeks for her murder was the first murder trial mentioned in the musical Hamilton. Unfortunately, Hamilton had not been recorded yet at the time of this story in 2013. It had been in workshops, but I don't think that its song existed yet as far as I could tell. I wanted her to reference the musical Hamilton. Miranda was working on it already. He's performed Alexander Hamilton song at the White House in 2009. Plus the bonus, the local school is AHHS, Alexander Hamilton High School, but I don't think this group lives in the local town. I think they traveled here. So they wouldn't be students at Alexander Hamilton, whereas the 85 group is. And the 99 group might be. Found dead at the bottom of a well, bruised and perhaps dead from drowning. Yeah. Since she's found in a well, bruised, and perhaps dead from drowning, I had her get thrown from the upstairs balcony into the jacuzzi and die that way. It's actually a graphic little moment because she lands in a weird upside down position, breaking her neck. Victoria Vic Gabriel wants to be a real serious actress, non-binary, bisexual, ADHD, name your neurodivergent, she's got it. Or so she says. She's definitely brought knitting to keep her hands busy, and that means needles for later in Halloween. Yeah, we don't get that reference, so I don't know if we need the knitting needles, so we might not need Vic. If we combine the Vic characteristics with Elma, then we bring this 6 down to 5. We need Richie. Yeah, we need Richie to go with Polly, yeah. But we could lose Vic. She will come on to Richie, to Kitty, and to AJ. That we don't have any time for that because of the way the structure of the story ended up being so quick. Named for one of 6 victims found dead on a farm in Waldfeld in Bavaria, Germany, 1922. Killed with a mattock, which is like a pickaxe. Maybe. So I think my version, she gets killed with the cant hook. Maybe. But I can lose Victoria, so that means I bring 2 characters out of 85, 2 characters out of 99, 1 out of 2013. We're losing 5 characters. We take it down from 19 to 14. And it leaves us some room for a little more conversation. What's weird is even with 14, that's still a lot of people. And because they all kind of have things going on. This might not make the script shorter. If anything, it might make it longer but simpler, easier to follow, which is okay. Yeah, it's okay. I'm trying to think if there's no other way to recombine these people, because Andrew can't be Richie, because I don't need Andrew and Polly to hook up. That's not the way to get them to, for Polly to make up for her. Yeah, I think I'm just losing Vic. So we're down from 19 to 15. And not more, right? Backtracking. We're combining Katie and Elsie. We're combining Henry and Charlie. No, we're combining Will and Charlie. Helen's still around. Yeah. Do we need Helen? Yes, because Helen finds the note. If Helen doesn't find the note, who cares about Henry's name being in a letter? Yeah. And then in 85, we're losing Mary Jane Kelly. She gets combined with Susie. And we're combining Ed and Ringo because they both end up having the same sort of through line of rejecting Frenchie, befriending Marty. And then Ed ends up talking to Susie, but that can fit with the other two anyway. 14's easier. It's more manageable and will be easier to follow, and then there's more room for more characterization, especially if I change the time frame, and maybe with fewer characters, even just that 5 fewer could make it easier to change the time frame so that we get night and everyone kind of hanging out. We get the next morning and the next day, and it's not, I think it's dawn at the end of the movie, the end of the script. So we could make it essentially from Friday to Sunday morning, or not really, because of the different years have different days. Which one's on the weekend? 2013 is a Friday. 85 is a Friday. 99 is a Monday, but 99 is the weirder one where we don't need more details because it's just 4 friends now. Yeah. I can do this. Whenever I have time. We got short stories to rewrite. Novels to write. By now, at least I'm recorded ahead a few weeks on this show. So, I don't know what I'm going to do next week in this show. Maybe by the time I'm getting to this, I will be rewriting or working on something else. And knowing how my schedule is and having a little more time. We'll see. Thank you for listening. Hope the spoilers were fun.
Cut. You're still here? It's over.
Stuff that dreams are made of.
It's a passport
Go home.
to another world.
Go.